Fishing in Terraria is one of the most dull and unrewarding things that I've ever experienced in games. I'll tell you why first, and then I'll make some suggestions on how to make it better. Before we deep dive into what makes fishing in Terraria so horrible, here are some preemptive answers to comments that I believe I might get on this video.
Fishing is the easiest way to progress in the game.
Now, I won't even argue that this isn't the case because I don't know any better, but for me, I think it's a lot more fun to play the game than it is to stand and recast a fishing rod for hours. Fishing requires patience in real life, so in game you have to be patient too. If I wanted to patiently fish, I would go to the lake and fish myself, not do it in a video game.
You're just too lazy to fish.
No. I just don't have time to fish. Now, for the folks who aren't familiar with fishing in Terraria, let me explain. Fishing in Terraria is centered around two different things: fishing for specific fish crates or items on your own, and then the angler NPC that gives quests that you can complete. Fishing for specific items is fine. The luck aspect can be annoying at times, but it's tolerable. It's more like the actual game in terms of drop rate. And the angler's quests are actually pretty easy. You go to the area listed on the bottom right of the quest box, you fish until you find that fish, you bring it back to him, and you get a reward. This takes no time at all. But then, you have to wait. You are limited to one quest per day. That means that I can only turn in one quest fish every 24 minutes of playing Terraria. Just as a reference, there is an achievement for getting 200 fishing quests. And now it's Bubbasaurus math time! 24 minutes times the 200 quests, that gives you 4,800 minutes to complete those quests. If you divide 4,800 minutes by 60 to convert that into hours, that gives you 80. $80 hours in a game that isn't about fishing. And sure, you rack up rewards while you're completing these quests, but the majority of the rewards that you get only make fishing easier. Well then, Mr. Bubbasaurus, well then, don't fish since there's nothing there for you. Except there is, somewhat. I bring forth 3 of the Angler's Quest rewards: the Fisherman's Pocket Guide, the Sextant, and the Weather Radio, which respectively displays fishing power, the current moon phase, and the surface weather and wind on your sidebar. These 3 items combine to create the Fish Finder, which is just an item that functions as all 3 of those in one. Thankfully, if you aren't into fishing, you don't really need these fishing related displays anyways. But this item is required to make the PDA for the cell phone crafting tree, which means that until I get these 3 items, I must carry a magic mirror, the REK3000, Goblin Tech, and a GPS, which takes up 4 inventory slots at all times, rather than being able to craft them all into one. I'm stuck between being inconvenienced by inventory clutter or being inconvenienced by completing fishing quests. I wish that I could choose to not be inconvenienced at all. Now I know that you can cheese this by going into journey mode and duping the fish infinitely and creating new characters and then using those characters and then submit the quest fish to the angler and then hopefully getting the item that you want during the process. But this brings me to my problem. The most convenient way to complete fishing quests is to not fish at all. I want Terraria fishing to be more rewarding to players that want to fish in the first place. I bring forth 2 suggestions that would make Terraria fishing better, at least for me. One of which is a tweak to the system in place, and the other is something that I would consider a reimagining of the quest system itself. The current process can be made better by simply changing the quest cooldown period. Imagine if instead of 24 minutes the cooldown was 4 minutes instead. That makes it possible to turn in a quest 6 times per day. This method stays true to the original idea of fishing quests, It's just made more accessible to people who don't have as much time to fish. And now for my big idea to reimagine the whole fishing quest system in the first place. What if instead of getting quests from the angler, you rescue him, give him a house, maybe turn in 1 or 2 fishes to him, and then he gives you a new item, the fishing bulletin board. This fishing bulletin board would work a lot like a typical bounty system that you have in most games. The board starts with 1 or 2 bounties of things like demolitionist in need of 20 bombfish, or clean up our ocean, catch 10 trash items. As you progress through the game, you can gain access to more bounties, which in turn will give you access to more rewards and get you closer to that 200 fishing quest goal. Some of these bounties can be unlocked after a certain amount of bounties have been completed, and these could reward you with those angler-specific quest rewards at specific milestone numbers that are already utilized in the quest system we have now, such as a bounty to turn in 50 goldfish and a golden carp for a golden fishy rod that is only available after your 25th bounty, something like that. This also allows the angler, instead of being a gatekeeper to fishing, to have access to a shop like other NPCs, in which his shop could have access to apprentice bait pre-hard mode, journeyman bait during hard mode, and of course then his final bait after you've defeated Duke Fishron. He could even begin to sell items like the chum buckets during a blood moon. He could also sell his fishing style decor like the wall anchor or life preserver, but also new ones like a singing bass wall mount or a chandelier of jellyfish. I think those would be cool. You could even give him his own pet or a few vanity clothes items to sell like his fish or mermaid set that are typically rewards in the old quest system. He could also give hints like the guide does, but hints to where you could find the different fishes that you might need for quests. If these kind of changes were to happen, I would consider fishing in Terraria. Until then, I guess I have 200 journey characters to create so I can fish while avoiding fishing. Thank you for watching. I've been your host, Bubbasaurus. If you liked this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Mention in the comments below, do you like the fishing in Terraria? Would you change it? Do you like my ideas? Do you have better ideas? Let me hear it down below. I appreciate everybody who watches this video, and remember to always be on your Bubbasaurus best.